That, the most electrifying man in the business. I was so excited to wrestle The Rock. I was only 2 months into my career. I was a rookie. And he was my first defeat. I was undefeated. Well, I kind of lost to Taz at the Royal Rumble, but I claimed it was an illegal choke and it didn't count. So in my mind, I was still undefeated when I wrestled The Rock. And I wrestled him in February of 2000. And it was a dream come true. I mean, here I am wrestling The Rock. I'm only 2 months in the business, and here I am with the biggest superstar in the company. So the WWE really projected me into the main event status right away. Like I didn't hover down the opening card, mid card. I was main event from the beginning. And actually my first matches were against Jericho and Benoit. I mean, that's how good, how high up I was. But who are we talking about? The Rock, thank you. But the cool thing about The Rock was I probably wrestled him more times my first year than anybody else. And it's because we had incredible chemistry. Vince would have us booked at the house shows to wrestle all the time because our matches were always so good. And I remember the first time I won the World Championship, it was against The Rock. It was in Albany, New York. And it was a dream come true. That was my dream match. I got to beat my dream opponent. The only other person that I put up there with The Rock is Stone Cold Steve Austin. And a year after that, I beat Stone Cold for the world title. So I beat the 2 biggest names in the business my first year in the business. And that was really cool. I mean, I was like, I had to pinch myself because I was like, I can't believe I'm at this status right now, you know? And so it was just incredible being around these guys and knowing what impact they had on the sport. And here I am meeting them. It was just awesome. You know what, Sting and I never got to have, we had matches, we had great matches, but I never got to have the match I wanted to with Sting, like I did with AJ, or with Samoa Joe, or Bobby Roode. And I think it has a little bit to do with, not that Sting couldn't still do it, but he was older, he wasn't quite the same, but he was still really good. I just wish I would have gotten to him when he was in his prime. I think a Kurt Angle versus Sting match in his prime would have been incredible. And don't get me wrong, Sting still had it, he still does today. I mean, I think he just retired, right? Yeah, but here he is. I mean, gosh, he's what, 63 years old. He's able to get in the ring and mix it up with these younger guys. That's incredible. But what made him so special was his presence, you know? It wasn't just a pain. Sting, you know, he just had this incredible presence about him, and he was so athletic, and being in the ring with him was so easy. He was easy to work with. He was light on his feet. If I went to angle slam him, he jumped for me. I didn't have to do any work, you know. So Sting was a real professional athlete that was really impressive in the ring. I just wish I would wrestle him in his prime.
Who is your favorite wrestler of all time, and why are they your favorite wrestler?
Ooh, that's tough. Okay, it's a tie. One is Bruno Sammartino, and he was in the WWE back in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. And he was a Pittsburgh guy, just like me. And Bruno was a really huge name in Pittsburgh. If you didn't know Bruno Sammartino, then you were dead. I mean, like, everybody knew who he was. And he had such an impact on pro wrestling. And this was back when the WWE was a territory up in the Northeast. And Bruno was dominating that territory. And I got to watch him, I got to see him at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. My family didn't have a lot of money, but they saved up enough money for me to go to. One match that I watched Bruno wrestle was against Larry Zbyszko. And it was the greatest thing in the world when I saw that. It was just really cool, and I always looked up to Bruno. And eventually I got to meet him one day, and it was the coolest thing in the world. And the other wrestler is Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's the reason why I came to WWE. I started watching in 1998, And I turned on the TV and started watching Raw, and Stone Cold Steve Austin popped up, and I was like, this guy is awesome. He's funny, he's an ass kicker, he flips off his boss, he drinks beer. I said, this guy's cool, man. I'd love to be Stone Cold. Little did I know I was gonna be the opposite of what Stone Cold was when I got there. So what I did though is when I started out, I mimicked Austin. I wore the leather vest, and I wore the black tights, and I was trying to look like Stone Cold. Vince was like, what are you doing? You're not Stone Cold Steve Austin, you're Kurt Angle. So I was like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? And he explained the character he wanted me to portray. But I love Stone Cold. He's the reason I got in the business.
So I gotta know, in Japan, you versus The Undertaker. Afterwards, you gave him a kiss, and you said, this is gonna be a long flight home. What was that flight like?
Oh, what he did was, he actually shaved my eyebrow. I just got done wrestling Undertaker in Japan. It was a long trip, and we were on the road for 3 weeks. And I went to shake his hand, and I pulled him in and kissed him on the lips. And he was pissed. I did it right in front of like 20,000 fans. So Undertaker said, this is gonna be a long ride home, my friend. And it was. He shaved my eyebrow. I had to wear makeup on it for about 2 or 3 months to a full thread. It was incredible, but he got me back.
All right, we've got one more question left right here. Last question, this better be a good one.
For someone just starting out in professional wrestling, how would you recommend going about that?
Okay. There are 2 important things when you start out that it's a depth that you need to learn. It's how to bump properly. That's getting slammed and bumping in the ring. If you ever see wrestlers training to bump, they'll on their feet, they'll fall back and bump. You have to learn the bumping properly for safety. And you also have to have, what the heck was I going to say? You have to learn how to sell. You know what selling is? Someone punches you in the face, you grab your face, stomach, back. You know, you have to sell because you have to tell a story to the fans, and you have to make them believe that you're hurt, that you're feeling the pain. When you do that, the match is much better, and the fans can become more invested. If you don't sell, and I'm not gonna lie to you, there's some guys today that don't sell at all. All they do is these high-flying stuff, and they're back up running. Yeah, they're not doing any selling. The fans are like, whoa, okay, what just happened? You know, so when you want to get them deeply invested, you have to learn how to sell properly. And you have to really oversell yourself. It's really important. The more you sell, the better. And once you start bumping properly, once you have that down, you're good to go. Those are the 2 most important things. To start off.
Kurt, thank you very much for being here. We greatly appreciate it. It's been wonderful. Any last life advice, anything you got? I honestly believe now that wrestling has the best fans in Wisconsin, do you have any parting great words for them?
I just want to thank you all for showing up. This was actually a cool session. I like it being very intimate. Usually I'm up on the stage and the fans are far away from me, but this was really cool. I just hope you guys enjoyed yourselves, and I'm going to be signing autographs for the next couple hours. And I hope all you stay for the show tonight. It's going to be a really good show.
Give it up one more time for the Olympic gold medalist, the 2-time Hall of Famer, Mr. Kurt Angle. If you are going for the meet and greet, we're going to have you line up against the wall back here. It's going to be at that